Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Welcome to the Networking RX. This is Frank Agan, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate those who have subscribed. It's always hard for me to say that. And I appreciate anybody who's just stumbled upon us and are listening today. Today, I have a guest on. I have Megan Hudson on. Just this easiest way to say it. It's Megan Hudson. But she's a networking coach. She's got a business called Mindful Mingling, and she helps people with networking. And for some of you listening out there, so, well, geez, I don't need help. Does anybody need help? And the reality is lots of people need help. Where you're at, there are hundreds of people who aren't even close, and they need help with things like making conversation, establishing connections, and how to create collaborating environments. So I wanted to bring Megan on, and we've had a couple conversations prior to this, and just talk about really what I want to kind of get to do is pick her brain with respect to LinkedIn, because that's a lot of what she helps people with. But anyhow, welcome to the program, Megan.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's the pleasure is all mine, because you're the one. You've got all the answers.
Yeah, not even close.
Well, no, and I really want to kind of pick your brain as to, one, I want to talk about LinkedIn profiles and what they should look like, because I know you spend a lot of time working with your clients, helping them with that. And for those who, I didn't mention this, Megan is getting her master's in nonfiction writing. That's nonfiction. It means it's all true. People can't keep that straight. But yeah, you're a writer, and I think that's important. I read a lot of LinkedIn profiles, and they're clearly not writers. They're not spellers either. So anyhow, give us some background on yourself, how you got to where you are, and then let's really kind of jump into the do's and don'ts of putting together a LinkedIn profile. And then once you have the profile, then what?
Thank you so much. So my background has been in various industries. I've always been in supportive roles. The last 8 years, I was in the financial industry. That has a very tight line on how you can network. So that's also where I kind of realized I really shine. I was surrounded by a bunch of introverts that knew they needed to network in order to grow their businesses, but didn't have a clue of how to build those connections. And that's where I really started helping a lot of the junior advisors and other people. When I would go to these events, they're like, I don't want to go. I have a client. Can you go be the brand ambassador? Right. So that's where I really started to see that there was a business in it, and started working with the chambers and mentoring people, that kind of thing. And that's kind of how it evolved. I left my position about a year ago to focus on schooling and grow the business. Again, to your point, I really focus on helping people find their natural communication style and networking style. Everybody has one. And also just to really take the sales pitch and transaction out of the conversation, out of the mindset. And really, when you walk into a room, it's about having conversations that you find a connection and look for ways to collaborate. It's not really about a sale. You don't go to a networking event to buy something, so no one's really coming to buy from you. So get out of the sales mindset.
Yeah, it's not a flea market.
No, absolutely. It's not a cattle call. And the quickest way for someone to lose disinterest is to feel like they're being pitched to or sold to. Right. Because you want to build those relationships, those referral relationships. So the LinkedIn thing, I really became a heavy hitter in LinkedIn because the purpose of LinkedIn is to connect with people in between events. You stay top of mind, learn and research about people that you're connecting with in the middle and in between events. So some chamber events you may go to once a month, but to really develop those connections, looking at your LinkedIn pages, posting, researching people that you want to connect with in between, that's how you really build the relationships in between and prepare for when you meet them in person. So that's how I used it and really built mine up.
Okay. Now, you talked about networking styles. Everybody has a networking style. Can you kind of give us some examples? I mean, obviously, everybody's different. So there's probably there's 8 billion different type of networking styles, or 7 billion, or whatever the number is. Can you give us some examples of, I guess, clients you've worked with and what you've had to do?
Absolutely. So it depends. Sometimes everybody's been more of these at a certain time, but you usually identify. I have narrowed it down. I call them the owl, the butterfly, the rabbit, or the turtle. Okay. So the owl will go in and fly and perch and then just kind of look around. And if anybody asks them a question, they'll ask a question back. They just kind of find a little place of safety.
Right.
And then just kind of observe and interact only if someone interacts with them.
I've got people in mind already with that. Go ahead.
Then you have the turtle, which is someone who will move about the room slowly, but usually if they have a task, so they're usually the ones at a party or an event that will go around and like pick up trash or, help out at the registration desk, or if they're helping someone else be introduced. They really need that
Right.
safety, that barrier that they can come in and out of conversation. Oh, I'm just here to pick up, whatever. But then if there's a conversation going on, they can join. They just really like that interaction. Then you have the rabbit that just is just full force, ooh, who's that? Who's that? I want to go over here. I want to go here. No. And is just like very, forceful, jumping around, is just a ball of energy and is just running around and excited to talk to everybody and just very energized. Then you have the butterfly who just kind of lingers, then floats over to this conversation, lingers, floats over to this conversation. So it's you can be a mix of one or two, or you're really going to adopt your natural instincts are going to be one of those.
Yeah.
And finding and honing, and they're all fine, but finding and honing one of those and elevating it, understanding it, elevating it, and use it to the next level, that's what I help people with. So if you're an owl, helping you maybe move from perch to perch.
Right.
And asking better questions, and maybe finding a turtle to go get people to bring them back to you. It's just different little strategies that I use. But once we figure out what your style is, then just elevating it.
Do you do a disc test or anything like that?
Disc is very, very helpful. Yes. So,
Okay.
of course, the dominants are typically the rabbits. They want to connect, and they want to connect right now.
Right.
Yeah, the influencers are usually butterflies. The steady are probably the turtles, and the conscientious are the owls.
Interesting.
Primarily. But everybody's a mix,
Yeah.
and it depends on the environment.
Gotcha. I see myself as a turtle or a butterfly, but I'm a high D. I don't know. I love the network, so I don't know. It works.
That's hilarious. I'm an ID as well.
Yeah. What should people have on their profiles? What advice do you give someone listening? I mean, I realize, again, there's 7 billion people, and well, not everyone's got a LinkedIn profile, but there's millions of people, and everyone's would be different. But what are some general things you would coach the average person on?
So number one, they should have their picture. A lot of people still don't have their picture, and the reason why I say this, after an event, if they have their business card, great, but people change businesses, they change companies all the time. Once you're linked on LinkedIn, they can move a company position 10 times, you can follow them. So It's imperative that you, after an event, you thank them for meeting them, hook up for coffee, whatever, but the picture always helps them. Oh yeah, that's who that guy was. If they meet 10 people and they are trying to struggle with who's who, that's extremely helpful. The other thing that I really encourage people to do is make sure that they're specific about their about. It's not, and again, this is really where deciding who your audience is and what you're trying to portray is really important. If you're speaking to clients, you're going to have a very different message than if you're speaking to COIs, and I mean centers of influence, referral partners. That's going to drive your content. That's going to drive your messaging. That's going to drive your whole strategy. There's all kinds of things that go into that. But what I really suggest is in your about, it's what are your motivations, who you like to work with, that kind of thing. Because in down below with your past experience, that's where you really get into what your company does, what the positions are, that kind of thing.
Right.
In your about, that's where you really want to say who you are, who you like to work with, and what your motivations are. I also I've heard this recently. Trish and I had a great talk that you introduced me with. She said a lot of people, in order to get your contact information, they have to link with you. If they see something and they want to call you right then and there, it's a really good idea to have your contact information at the top of your about page, because unless they connect with you, they can't get your contact information. So that's also a really good idea at the top of your about. Just put how to contact you.
Right.
The other couple of really good things is if you have any again, people are looking at your profile to find commonalities and way to connect with you. Also searchable. If somebody's searching for CPAs that are certified in taxes, or if they're certified in finance, you want to make sure that all of that is in there. So all of your certifications, all of your volunteer experience. They may be doing a search for CPAs with board experience or anything like that. So make sure anything that you volunteered with, anything that you've had experience in those types of realms, I would definitely put that. A lot of people don't tend to put that. They really should put that, because if somebody is looking to work with you or someone else and they're like, oh my gosh, we're on the same type of volunteer committees, or they're a director of this, they're going to know that you speak their language. Also, where you went to school, you don't have to put the years, but a lot of people connect through alma maters. Those types of things, those are almost musts. Yes, your experience, all of that, but the things that I see missing quite a bit are logos, volunteer experience, and any certifications. Because when it's almost like Googling in LinkedIn, you can do a specific search. They're looking for specific certifications. Make sure you have them in there.
I'm sure there's a point of having too much, but I think people err on the other side, and having all the little things in there are important. And the example I was going to share is I had somebody reach out to me and they wanted to connect, and it was just kind of I won't name the name because I'm going to say this, kind of a ho-hum connection, right? It's like, all right, they're a coach, or, they're doing whatever, and that's neat. But I get those all the time. So there's nothing that I really need to read on. But I scrolled down and it turned out that he went to my high school. Now, I live 15 hours from where I grew up. This guy lives another 15 hours away from where we grew up. And we're 10 years apart. But we went to the same high school, and that's just immediately, it's like, I like this guy. I like this guy. We both went to Houghton High. And so I immediately, wrote him back. I'm like, hey, this is great. We should talk. But it was all because of that one thing, that just a little common, nothing else on there spoke to me but that. But that's what it took. So I think those things are very important.
At 100%. People work, as you know, with who they know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
Until they know you, those commonalities that they can find on LinkedIn is the quickest way. So you meet, just to your point, you meet someone at an event, and then you link with them on LinkedIn, and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that we've served on the same boards, just at different times, or we know 15 of the same people. This is amazing. Of course, I'm going to, oh yeah, we had a good connection, but now this could be a great connection. And it's just that next level filter. The other thing is so say someone you have a one-on-one with that you meet, and you go, That's the other thing, is you can help do research and help pattern. So say you're going to meet someone that you know is an introvert and doesn't really carry the conversation well. I've never had that problem. I have a black belt in chit chat. I can talk to the tree post and have a great old time. However, with that comes a responsibility to carry the conversation and make it easy for the other person. So a lot of times I call it research. Other people call it stalking, but I call it research. I will go onto someone's page and look for those little commonalities, things to chat. Oh, they love pets. They have a dog. Oh, they went to this school, and I was interested in that school. I went to this one. Oh, they volunteered this. Or the other really good thing are groups that they follow or are interested in. Like, I'm a huge Simon Sinek fan. So anyone who is following Simon Sinek, I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's amazing. So that's an immediate, thing that we can connect on. I can go, what's your favorite book from him? And it's just, I geek out for him. So that's also a place you can do content. But yeah, I'm sorry, I can spiral out and geek out on LinkedIn.
No, I think that's great. All right, so that's the profile. And there are people out there that have wonderful profiles. They've had them professionally done. They've hired someone like you. Yeah. I'm sure you have people like that. You've done a great profile for them and nothing.
Correct. The other half of that
Yeah,
is a great point, and thank you for
all
bringing
dressed
it
up and nowhere to go, right?
Well, that's like owning a fancy car and putting it in the drive and never taking it out for a drive and never inviting anyone to go for a little coastal ride with you. It's the same point. It's pretty worthless if you're not implementing a strategy to use it. And again, the number one easiest thing that you can do is, after any connection, whether it's a phone call, Zoom call, in-person meeting, lunch, reach out on LinkedIn. Hey, it was great seeing you today. I'm very big into communicating on LinkedIn. It also can be like a backup little mini CRM. You can reach out to them on LinkedIn. And also, if you go back and say, how long ago did we meet, or how did I meet this person?
Right.
Look at my messages and go, oh, I met them after a business after hours about a year and a half ago, and we talked about this. That is like a little noting system. But researching those little things and say, oh, I saw you posted an article. Are you still working on that project? It's great conversation starters for those people who don't know how to just pick random topics out of the air and get a conversation started. So looking at their activity page, seeing the types of articles that they share or actually create and post, looking at the things that they're interested in, the people that they follow, those are great conversation starters that can get it flowing until it can be a little more organic and you know them a little better. That's a great way to use it. Right. The other thing is, if you can, some of the things that you follow, like I follow the Harvard Journal, the Psychological Today, all of those things, and I find really great articles that I post. That's how I connect with a lot of people. I do some on networking, but a lot of it is just social science. Yeah. And I find really cool articles that most people, everyone's inundated, they're in their own world. And Simon Sinek, I always post him. But that's how you stay top of mind, because they're like, oh, that's cool. Oh, Megan. Oh, I haven't seen her in a minute. I need to reach out and we need to have coffee. Right. That's how you stay top of mind. Or you come across something, hey, this is something we talked about last week. I'm going to send it to them in a message. Hey, I came across this. Weren't you just talking about that? Right. Then it's a value add, and then there's a moment of gratuity. It's like, oh, they were thinking about me. Even if it was something that was correct or not, like, oh, that was nice. They were thinking of me and posted that and thought of me. But those are the ways that I use it on an everyday. But going back, you have to have a strategy. It's checking in every day, 15 minutes, whether it's resharing. If you have really high contacts that you want to stay in front of, look at their activity, like theirs, comment it, and share it, because they can see who is doing that. And they'll be grateful. They'll take note of that. Oh, they read my article and they liked it and they shared it. They will take note of that. That will put you high up in their mind. There's little things like that. But again, it's whatever your strategy is.
But you hit something key there.
Yeah.
15 minutes a day. And I think that, that's where people get tripped up. It's like they don't create the discipline to have 15 minutes a day. So then they feel like I need to spend 2 hours a week. And that's even more daunting. And so they just give up on it. And
exactly,
it doesn't take much to kind of keep up and just do a little something every day.
Whether you're absolutely right, just scroll for 15 minutes, send one invitation a day, like go through past lists of past coworkers, people that you've connected with, old business cards. I don't know how many times I know people that have drawers of old business cards, and this is how you enter it. I cannot believe, look and see if you're connected on LinkedIn. If you're not, this is the message. I cannot believe how are we not connected on LinkedIn?
Right.
Hope all is well. Look forward to seeing you in the future. You know what I mean? Like would love to have a call soon, and then connect, and then just even do one of those a day. Because in the reality, you have to be over 500. Anything it counts. It's like, oh, they have 333 connections.
Yeah.
Once you're over 500, then it's like you have over 500 connections. But small things done are better than great things planned. Like just little every day, and it becomes a habit. It's like while you're drinking your coffee, looking through LinkedIn, liking a thoughtful post. Sometimes a thoughtful comment and repost is better than original content. For what your goals are.
No, I mean, you're right. It's, if you do the little things, if you're consistent about doing the little things, this is what I found, is that in time, things come to you.
Absolutely.
Right? And so you're not, when people are coming at me, asking me to do things or reaching out and wanting to connect with me, it makes it easier. But and that happens all the time, but that was created by me just going through and, doing the little things on the front end. Posting an article every day, posting something, liking, sharing, whatever it might be. And nothing's huge. I've changed nobody's world on LinkedIn in a single day. But it's the continual sort of stuff. Well, couple other questions here to wrap up. One, how can the audience help you? How can they help you, and how could they get a hold of you? Those, I hope LinkedIn.
So LinkedIn is definitely my number one connection, my number one communication source. I do really appreciate, I do check my email, not as much, not as diligently. LinkedIn is my number one, so I can certainly send you the link that you can put on the webcast or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes, Yeah,
that would be great. And how people can help me is I would just love their questions and their stories. I mean, how they've been finding LinkedIn, how they use it, how they have been challenged by it. I would love to hear all of that. I would love to connect.
Okay, sounds great. Well, I certainly appreciate your time today.
No, thank you so much for having me. It was a blast. You're the best.
Thanks. Before we wrap up, I just want to finish by saying this, and this is important. Being network is vital to success, and if you're responsible for driving sales in your business or profession, receiving referrals is the most effective means of generating revenue, and it always has been. Easy ways to get started with this: you can join a chamber, or even better, join a networking group like AmSpirit Business Connections. Having said that, however, think about this. If you had a choice, would you rather be a renter or the landlord? That's a no-brainer, right? You're smart. You want to be the one collecting the rent. You want to own the building. So why do you just want to pay to be in a networking organization when you can own it? At AmSpirit Business Connections, we're looking for highly engaged entrepreneurs and professionals that want to grow their business right now. If you're interested, well, of course you are. Certainly want to talk on it. Reach out to us at AmSpirit Business Connections. We're in the process of our national expansion and looking for organizers and managers to help us. You'll make more money from professional connections and also make money building professional connections.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.